Hey everyone, it's Coco. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and that your week is off to a great start. I actually wanted to do this video on Saturday because, in conjunction with being Halloween, it also marked the last day for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But for some reason, I just could not get it right. Take after take after take after take, I just was not satisfied. Whether it was with the lighting, or I didn't feel glamorous enough, or I kept tumbling over my words again and again. I just was not happy. But then I had the epiphany today that my aim towards perfecting the aesthetics took away from what was really important, the message, the content of this video. And that there's nothing glamorous about domestic violence. So I just needed to hone in on what I was trying to say. So here I am. I wanted to discuss with you guys, especially with women, about five, 4 or 5 key indicators that you yourself might be dealing with an abuser, and signs to look out for, and friends and loved ones that they too could be getting abused as well. So let's jump right into it. Indicator number 1, how your partner talks to you. Verbal abuse is 9 times out of 10, from what I've experienced and what I've seen with other people who have been abused as well, is a segue to physical abuse. What the abuser hopes to accomplish by verbal attacks, it's piece by piece by piece. They want to break down the self-esteem of their victim to the point where they feel worthless. And then once they have them feeling so low, they can inflict the physical abuse. What constitutes verbal abuse? Belittling you, demeaning you, calling you out your name, any attack on your mental or emotional state through words intended to hurt you can be verbal abuse. And this is often a red flag, a blatant red flag that is often overlooked because of its subtlety. A lot of times people think that if somebody is not hitting you, then it can't be abuse, but that's just not true. Verbal abuse is just as bad as somebody putting their hands on you, and can leave lasting impressions on your heart and mind that take a long time to work through and overcome. So pay attention to how your partner talks to you. Indicator number 2. I'm going to group these two together because they kind of go hand in hand. Isolation and manipulation. Isolation is, pretty self-explanatory. The abuser isolates their victim. And they do this by trying to sever ties that their victim has with close loved ones, family, and distancing them from these people so they can inflict their abuse, and this person has nobody to reach out to. Another way that they isolate is by trying to literally get you to physically move further and further away from your key support system so they can do what they want to do to you with no real repercussions. And in order to isolate, they also manipulate. And they manipulate by, one key thing is trying to get their victim to be dependent on them. Financially, which is not a knock at stay-at-home moms at all. But what I mean by financially is they try to get every single part. You have to, it's kind of like a child to a parent. Like you have to, they want to control everything. Like you have to come to them for every cent, every dollar you spend, even for food, anything. They want to control all the finances and leave you out of the loop. And then, another key thing I've seen is they try to get you dependent on them to get them places, to get you places, um, by controlling car usage. Um, and then if you have anything, especially for those who are dealing with mental illness, threatening you that if you leave or anything that they're going, especially if you have children, uh, threatening that if you leave, they're going to disclose to a judge about your mental illness. But I'm getting ahead of myself because that's if you've already, once you've already gotten, you know, with an abuser. That usually comes later about the children. But anywho, back on point. Yes, isolation, manipulation. Um, Another key of manipulation are threats. If you don't do this, then I will do that. Uh, if you don't comply here, I'll do that there. You know, they try to leverage, especially important information that you've shared about yourself to them. They will try to use that against you and use it as leverage to, in an attempt to get you to do what they want you to do. Um, it's a sense of blackmail, of coercion. Very, 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 very popular tactic and a good indicator that you are dealing with somebody who is abusive. Indicator number 3. How does your mate respond when they're angry? Conflict is a healthy part of any relationship, but there is a healthy way to deal with conflict and an unhealthy way. If somebody you're dealing with punches holes in the walls, throw things at you, gets in your face and yells and talks to you in an intimidating way, things like that, that can be a sign that it's a good sign that you're dealing with somebody who has the potential to escalate to physical violence towards your physical you, the actual you. Dealing with somebody who has a hot temper, they can't control. They have no self-control. They haven't mastered self, and they will just fly off the handle and react anyway at the moment, which can include hitting you. So pay attention to how someone deals with anger. And if you notice any of the signs that I mentioned, with the punching walls, throwing things, getting all in your face in an aggressive, intimidating way, or trying to intimidate you, it's a situation you might want to reevaluate and potentially leave because it can escalate. Indicator number 4. This is something I classify as behavioral indicators. And that it can include how they relate to other people, how do they talk to the wait staff when you're out, cashiers, when things occur in their own life, how do they deal with stress, how, what's their integrity level like. Those are, somebody who's rude to other people and who, who's blatantly just a jerk. I mean, that could be signs that, they can abuse you too. Because who's to say, they're like this out in the open. God knows what they're like behind closed doors. So pay attention to the little things. I always say the attention, of course, is in the details. Oftentimes, little things are overlooked, but they are the biggest things you should be paying attention to. So monitor somebody's behavior. Pay close attention to little characteristics that can clue you in that this person might be an abuser. So that leads us to signs that somebody could be dealing with an abuser. One thing I've noticed is that people I know, and from my own experience, when they're getting abused, they become withdrawn. Somebody who was typically vibrant, outspoken, you guys had a very healthy, boisterous relationship, it just stops. When you're around this person, they're timid, they're withdrawn, they're closed off. and it's totally out of their character, that can be a sign that they're being abused. Also, another thing is when you actually see them with the person, with the abuser, pay attention to the relationship dynamic. If they appear scared, they're flinching, the other person is showing signs of aggression by talking to them in an aggressive way, and just, you notice the tension or, a negative energy thing going on, it could be a sign that your loved one or friend is being abused. And then also, of course, the obvious physical markings, bruises, scratches, especially by the eyes, arms, because abusers like to grab. Anywhere you can find marks. But you see unexplained bruises, scratches, things of that nature, especially if you keep seeing them consistently. It could be a sign that whoever is being harmed. So yes, that concludes my video. I hope that it was very insightful and that you found it helpful and that you pass it along to somebody who you feel can benefit, because again, the mission here is to potentially save lives. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.